A decade since the Great Recession began, unemployment is down and property values are up in many places, but Arizonans are still struggling.
It's just hard to make it. You just got to be careful.
We'll visit a food bank in Phoenix that distributes tens of millions of pounds of food each year.
It's just really rewarding to know that you're helping a lot of people when, you don't know how fortunate you are until you see those that are not fortunate.
Plus, getting into a new home in Tucson with the help of the community. This is Arizona Week. Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Tony Paniagua in for Lorraine Rivera. Phoenix is one of the fastest growing cities in the nation. Construction is booming in downtown and in other parts of the metropolitan area, but poverty remains a challenge. For 3 days each year, this area in central Phoenix becomes one of the busiest neighborhoods in the state. There are traffic barricades, extra police officers, and a team of volunteers.
5, back rows, 4, 5, 6.
It may look like they're getting ready for a popular concert or perhaps a football game, but all of these pedestrians and drivers are motivated by food. St. Mary's Food Bank Alliance distributes 12,000 turkeys and Thanksgiving fixings ahead of the holiday.
We heard about this on the news station, but they do this every year. And this is our second year coming out because we're struggling and we really need the food, or I wouldn't have come out here. The only time I do come out here is when I need food. It's not the economy that it used to be. So you have to, take what the Lord and whatever that they give you.
Soy homeless, llevo en la calle viviendo 3 años.
I've been homeless for 3 years, but I'm grateful to the community in Phoenix because I've been getting assistance. I found a Christian program which helped me give up drugs 8 months ago, and now I want to find a job and organize my life. I need to get off the street.
This is a big time of the year for us. I would tell you that hunger is all year round, but we make an extra effort this time of year, and our donors help us to make an extra effort to fulfill the need in our community.
Right now I'm directing traffic. Last year I actually loaded the cars with the turkeys and all of the other fixings, so different jobs each time I come. I think it's amazing. I look forward to it every year. It's rewarding for me, and to see the smiles on the people's faces that they get food on their table is pretty cool.
It's very satisfying because we don't really know what people are going through. And if we have an opportunity to do something as simple as feeding someone, I think that in itself is powerful, right? Not just the fact that they're getting food, but that they're seeing all of these people here just, giving up their time to making sure that their time and their holidays are a little bit more special.
I've been getting a box of food each month for about 2 years now, and this is the second time I receive a Thanksgiving meal. I'm 81 years old, and someone recommended I come here for assistance. I'm grateful because with my small Social Security check, there just isn't enough money to go around. I see many other people in similar situations.
And all of this is happening in a booming metropolitan area, which is getting hundreds of millions of dollars in new investments throughout the region. According to recent figures, Phoenix is one of the nation's fastest growing cities. That's interpreted as good news for the real estate industry and many other businesses in this valley. Still, not far away from the city's downtown, this busy scene reveals another side of the financial picture.
Whether the housing market is up or the economy's up, you're always going to have people that are in need. It's just, it's life, and people struggle. Whatever has got them into that situation, or, whether they lost a job, it's going to happen, and they need people around here, just like all these people out here, helping out. We need to help one another out, and I think that's a very important thing just in life, to help each other.
Here's more of our interview with Tom Curtis, the president and CEO of St. Mary's Food Bank Alliance.
So St. Mary's is the first food bank in the world, founded back in 1967. And we are basically a conduit. We are a conduit from where there's excess food to get it to people where there's a shortage of food. And that's our job, is to help feed people who need food, but do it by saving food that would normally go to a landfill.
You've been at it for 50 years now. Can you tell me a little bit about the growth in the number of people that you've been helping all along?
Originally, the first year when St. Mary's was founded back in 1967, they distributed 250,000 pounds of food that year. Today, we do 250,000 pounds every day. So we're impacting people significantly and doing a lot more. Last year we did 87 million pounds of food distributed, which breaks down to about 80 million meals.
And who are the people that are receiving the food?
So, there's a large gamut of people that receive the food, but generally it's the working poor. There's a lot of people out there who are working, their wages don't cover all their expenses, and food becomes one of the areas that they can, kind of back off of when they get into a bind. And so that's generally the group that we're taking care of. But as well as their seniors, veterans, and particularly impacted are children. And so those are the people that are receiving the food. As the economy has improved, it hasn't improved equally on all aspects of the economy. And so, many of the times the people on the lower end of the socioeconomic structure, they haven't seen the increases. And today, in today's economy, there's still low-wage jobs, and those people haven't seen the improvement. The other piece of it is that, we've seen things like housing values increase or people's 401ks and stock market. Generally, those people at that end of the spectrum don't own their house, and they don't have stock, and they don't have 401ks, so they didn't see that wealth increase. It's typically people at the higher end of the spectrum.
So what can be done for those poor people, the working poor, and other people who receive benefits here?
Well, we work really hard not just to feed people, but also to try to help shorten the line. And there's a couple things that we do that we think have a big impact. We have a part of one of our programs called Community Kitchen, where we actually take people who have barriers to employment, and we teach them culinary skills so they can go out and get a job and get back on their own 2 feet. That's one area. Number two is we invest a lot in children's feeding programs, and our thought process behind that is children who are hungry and go to school can't concentrate and can't learn. And so we help to feed them so that they can focus at school, they can learn, and eventually they become they graduate from school and they become, contributing members of society. And we think that really helps to what we call shorten the line and get people back on their feet. And then on top of that, we also invest in a lot of our agencies like domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters. Those are designed to get people back on their feet too. So we support those type of agencies that we believe will help get people back on their feet and be able to take care of themselves.
Now we travel to the state's second largest county where there is also significant need. Joining us is Michael McDonald. He is the CEO of the Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona, which is based in Tucson. Michael, thank you very much for being here.
Good to be with you.
What about the history? Let's begin with the history of the Community Food Bank in this area.
We've been operating about 40 years in Southern Arizona, all volunteer run initially. It was around public policy to maintain federal legislation, safety net programs for the working poor. So at that time it was called food stamps, or now it's called SNAP. And so we really want to have people understand that while the food bank is there to serve neighbors in need, and last year about 60 million pounds of food we got out, that's fantastic charity. It's insufficient to the need of poverty and the lack of economic opportunity in Southern Arizona.
We were speaking ahead of this interview, and you mentioned that many of the people that receive services from the Community Food Bank are actually working full-time.
They are. In Pima County alone, it's about 145,000 unduplicated or unique individuals, 200,000 in our 5-county service area, 80% of whom have a job. The problem is not that people are lazy or they don't want to be self-sufficient and get ahead for their family. The problem is insufficient income and lack of assets. So if you're working a minimum wage job or below, or you're struggling with, you go back and forth in and out of employment, you just can't make ends meet. You can't pay your rent, buy food, childcare, transportation.
And we have a high poverty rate, I would imagine, here in Southern Arizona and the rest of the state, right?
It's about 15% plus or minus, depending on the county. That's 1 million people in Arizona. That's the federal poverty level. And so that's about 25,000 and change for a family of 4. Who can make ends meet for a family of 4 on $25,000 a year?
And where are you getting most of your donations? Or is it come from very different sources in the community?
Yeah, it's thousands of people. It's tens of thousands of people. It's neighbors helping neighbors. So that's where most of our cash comes from, and we use that to buy food, to buy cooling units and trucks and staff to work in the 5 counties. The food, while we do food drives, I gotta tell it, the retail grocery store industry and the produce industry out of Mexico and many food manufacturers and brokers make it possible to feed families in need.
So it does take a wide-ranging effort from many different participants.
Takes the village to feed the village.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
What about the conversation that's come up occasionally about how let just the faith community deal with it, let the nonprofits deal with it, government doesn't have to get involved in these issues?
That is an absolutely insane answer. There is no way that churches, synagogues, charities can cover billions of dollars of support nationwide for the safety net. It started in the Johnson administration, the war on poverty. That's when we came up with great interventions like free and reduced breakfast and lunch for kids in need. Most of Tucson needs that. And so if that goes away or food stamps goes away, how are we going to take care of one another? We're not. And we're trying to build our business community, but not everyone is participating in this economic recovery. You just can't make ends meet when you have a minimum wage job, or you're in and out of employment, or you have a major medical situation occur. And we've got about 25% of our clients are grandparents raising grandchildren.
And moving forward, is there a solution to the poverty problem? Some people might say we've been at it for decades and we still have these huge numbers. What could be done, what do you think?
That's a complicated question. I think we still have significant racism in this country, sexism, all the isms that keep people structurally oppressed in this country and do not have access to all the resources. Where you grew up, your zip code, is an indicator of your future success and the opportunities that will be given to you. So we need to face these isms and our obligation to fix those. I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is just to continue to foster entrepreneurship. And we have a lot of food entrepreneurs in the city of gastronomy here in Tucson. And so how could we partner with great entrepreneurs to allow them the breakthrough success that they're dreaming about?
Okay. Michael McDonald, the CEO of the Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona, thanks for joining us.
Welcome, thank you.
Food banks provide meals to a diverse group of residents, and there's another service in Southern Arizona that focuses on those who are homebound and cannot make their way to distribution centers. The kitchen at Tucson Medical Center is a busy operation that prepares thousands of meals every week for the patients in this hospital. But in addition to feeding the people who are recovering here, the staff members at TMC also make lunches and dinners for residents in other parts of the community, even if they have never visited this facility. TMC is one of several community partners with Mobile Meals of Southern Arizona, an organization that was established in Tucson nearly 50 years ago.
We're actually a locally founded nonprofit, and we were created with one simple purpose, which is to keep homebound elderly and disabled adults in our community in their own homes. Mobile Meals provides daily food that is delivered to their homes, and each meal is prepared to meet their specific dietary needs, which makes us very different from other programs in the community and in the country.
By working with the medical center, Mobile Meals gets a large kitchen and staff, along with the right ingredients and expertise for the food that goes out. Ruth Halter is the Food and Nutrition Patient Services Manager at the hospital. She's also a board member for Mobile Meals.
Mobile Meals sends us a list every week of the clients and all their needs, their special dietary needs. We collaborate with our cooks to see what they're making on the menu, and then we make a little ticket that has very detailed information about the client and what they can have, what they can eat.
Once the food is ready to go, a group of Essential Mobile Meals volunteers is in charge of the deliveries. Each has a specific route and number of clients.
The office is wonderful, for one thing. The girls are very helpful. You just never have a problem with them. And the clients, customers, friends, however you want to say it, they are always so excited to see somebody. I mean, I could probably show up without a meal and they would still be wanting to chat, because sometimes that's the only person they see during the day. And it's a connection to the outside world.
It's kind of heartwarming in a way, you know, it's almost selfish, because you feel really good when you're done doing your deliveries. You feel really good about what you did, and you make friends. Anybody can do it. Like, I usually take my lunch break and then do my deliveries. I think it would be great if more people got involved. I mean, they definitely need it.
Currently, Mobile Meals serves more than 200 residents per day, and for most of them, the sustenance is vital for their survival.
The majority of clients that are served by Mobile Meals are low income. In fact, right now, 93% of our clients are low income. And 50% of our clients are actually extremely low income with a monthly income of less than $900 a month.
Tucson resident Carl Saunders is one of these people.
If people were working at a normal job during my working years, they would be making $40 to $50 a week. And that don't leave much Social Security because you're not putting hardly anything into it.
Saunders used much of his savings to buy a mobile home when he moved to Arizona a few years ago. He depends on a Social Security check of about $700 each month to make ends meet.
I own this trailer, but just for the lot rental and the utilities, it takes up a little bit more than what my Social Security is. So I've got a little bit left in my savings, and that's where the extra money comes from. And it's getting pretty close to being gone.
Saunders is a Korean War veteran, so he is grateful that his medical costs are covered by the Veterans Administration. He used to prepare most of his food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but now that he can hardly stand up, he discovered the food delivery service. His cost, 50 cents per meal.
It's as good as you can get in any restaurant in town, better than a whole lot of them I've been to. So it's been a lifesaver, really.
I think that Tucson is very unique. Pima County is very unique in terms of its ability to recover. We have consistently been one of the poorest cities in the country. In the rest of the country, 1 in 5 children typically live in poverty. Here in Tucson, that number can be 1 in 3. And that goes for our adults as well. We don't talk about that as much.
I've always wanted to do something, be more involved in our community, so I figured this would be a great way. And then it also, I think, it helps inspire our kids to do something for others as well. So I always try and have them help no matter when or what. If they see something, always try and help somebody.
When I decided to become a board member, I didn't know everything that was going to happen, but I've been able to meet a lot of other people in the community that are very committed to Tucson and want to see Tucson prosper. So that's what it's really all about.
We've heard about very large programs that are feeding residents in Phoenix and Tucson, and now we'll learn about another facility that focuses on a neighborhood here in the Old Pueblo. Joining us is Brian Flagg. He has been living and working at Casa Maria in Tucson for more than 3 decades. So Brian, of course, many people have heard of you and Casa Maria. What would you like to say for those who haven't? What is this facility all about?
Casa Maria is the Catholic Worker House in Tucson. Every day we seek to practice the works of mercy and the works of justice. That turns into us serving food every single morning of the year, except Thanksgiving and Christmas. We serve 450 bag lunches every day to people all morning long. And we also serve family food bags to 150 families that live mostly in the South Tucson area where we're located. And more people, it seems to me, are falling into the ranks of poverty and homeless and are faced with the necessity of going to a soup kitchen to get food. And sometimes people say, oh, that's wonderful, but it's really not. It's sad. It's inherently undignified to have to go to a soup kitchen, to really go have to beg in any social services. But we're there every day and try to know people and serve people and talk to them and organize, and we seek to change Tucson, change Arizona.
You mentioned 2 groups of people, families and the homeless. Let's begin with the first one. Let's talk about the families and the children that show up.
Yeah.
What would you like to say about that segment of the population?
When I first came to Tucson in 1983, we served 90 people, mostly single men. The numbers have gone up and up and up. And so it's like it's been more and more and more families that need to come. People cannot, with the amount of money that they're paid, if they find a job, like make ends meet, and it's really not right. And so we're there to fill in the spots, you know, and especially with food. But we also have a clothes room. People come cut hair. We had a legal clinic there for a year. El Rio Homeless Health Clinic is on site 2 days a week. So a lot of different things come into play there. The bus rider union has come out of there, and that's why people need to come together, especially people of faith, to like live out their values and change things. There's no reason it should be this way. This is a wealthy country, and there's enough money to have decent housing, to have a full employment for people, to have adequate health care, education, all that stuff. So, you know, we live in the moment, like serving people food to keep them alive today, but we seek to organize people to stand to make a more dignified world, a more dignified situation. I hear all these reports about the economy's better, but I don't see it in my neighborhood at all. I see people having to come to the soup kitchen to get food to survive for them and their kids. So the question is, yeah, the economy might be better, but for whom? And I would say if you own stocks and bonds and stuff like that, it's getting better for you. But nobody just comes to the soup kitchen because they want to. You come there because you have to.
Do you depend on volunteers and donations?
Yeah, you know, it's a blessing doing this work in Tucson, because Tucson is a really progressive and compassionate place. We exist entirely on private donations. We don't get any money from the government, like all Catholic worker houses. And so we depend on people to give us money, to bring their old clothes, to help us in the soup kitchen. And so we're always in need of volunteers every single morning of the year, but Thanksgiving and Christmas, 8:30 to 11:30, we need people to come and help us in the soup kitchen. And if people don't believe what I'm saying about it, how bad it is, how many people there are, or have questions, well, come down 25th Street and 3rd Avenue, help us out, talk to me, talk to everybody else around. And you know, it's a standing invitation to the community to come and get involved at our place.
All right, Brian Flagg, the coordinator at Casa Maria, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Tony.
A shortage of food is just one of the challenges affecting the poor. As property values continue to rise, it becomes increasingly difficult for many people to purchase a home. For more on that, we are joined by T. Van Hook, the CEO of Habitat for Humanity Tucson. With her is Zulema Altamirano, who recently moved into her brand new house.
Habitat Tucson was established about 5 years after the first Habitat house was built in Americus, Georgia. So we had an affiliate here starting in 1980, and since 1980 we've built close to 450 houses, including the houses we have under construction. It took us 29 years to build our first 100 houses, and we've built all the rest in the last 11 years, so we're doing quite well.
And how does the program work?
Well, we like to say, you know, great, you're getting a Habitat house. Oh no, you're getting a Habitat house. Habitat home buyers purchase the house from us. They pay the market rate or the appraised value of the house, but they buy the house with, there's no down payment required. Although they do save money while they're in the program, and some get down payment assistance through programs, and then they pay a 0% mortgage, and they pay that over the lifespan calculated on 1/3 of their income. So in most cases, it's less than the rent they're paying on a substandard apartment.
Okay, that's really nice. And Zulema, congratulations.
Thank you.
You got into your house last year. Can you tell me a little bit about how that journey began for you, please?
Well, I work for Head Start, and I was doing a home visit with one of the families. She just got a new home. And I asked her, and she said that they're going to be building some homes behind her house. So I decided to go and apply, and here I am. I got my house, and I'm very happy. It's wonderful. I enjoy being there.
So what does this mean for you, having your own home versus perhaps renting for the rest of your life, or maybe getting a very substandard house that you could afford?
I'm very happy because I can pay the mortgage, and before I was moving a lot with my 2 daughters, and I was living in a mobile home. It was to get a house is exciting, and I'm very happy and I'm very thankful for this program.
And what did you think as you were hammering and walking around with heavy equipment, and I'm sure there were a lot of 5-gallon buckets involved in the construction? What was going through your mind?
I did a lot of landscaping, and now I planted my own citrus trees. I have like 4 of them. They're growing now, and I'm just excited because I learned how to do all of these things, and I'm not afraid to put a nail in my house.
So you're feeling a lot of independence.
Yes, a lot.
And then finally, T. Van Hook, what about moving forward? We were talking ahead of this interview. It's really difficult to find affordable properties in order to build the houses nowadays because of, as we've been saying in this show, property values are rising and more people are interested in buying a home.
Well, yeah, people are interested in buying a home, and rents are going up. Just this past year, rent has gone up 4% across Tucson, which makes the housing crisis even worse for our low-income families that have relied on rental properties in the past. And we're running out of land. Commercial developers are running out of land. As you know, building has gone kind of nutso again in Tucson, and we saw what happened last time that happened. We're trying to find land. Of course, we always need volunteers and donations. It's slim pickings out there. The hurricanes have hit people, earthquakes have hit people, and it's difficult for, people relocating to Tucson. We've got a lot more snowbirds, and it's difficult to find land and difficult to find places to move forward. At Habitat Tucson, we do own some properties. We're very proud of a collaboration we're doing right now with Literacy Connects. We'll be building 8 2-story homes next door to them this coming year. We have a few land holdings in Marana, but it's getting tight out there, and we're just doing the best we can to find the resources that we have, and we're certainly looking for anyone that would want to offer us any properties that they have or funding to purchase properties.
Great. Okay. Well, T. Van Hook, the CEO of Habitat for Humanity Tucson, and Zulema Altamirano, a new homeowner. Congratulations once again. Enjoy the holidays. And thank you to both of you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
That's our show this week. But before we go, a quick program announcement. We will debut a new show in January, Arizona 360, and we hope you will join us. I'm Tony Paniagua. Thanks for watching and happy holidays.